The Cat Lady of Stillwater Bend. A co-author corner original mystery. Co-author, Captain. Chapter 1. The Move. Leela Carter had never seen a real forest before. Back in New York, nature meant a stubborn line of trees squeezed between two apartment buildings, their branches tangled in fire escapes like they were trying to escape. But here, in Stillwater Bend, the tiny Midwestern town her parents insisted would change everything, the woods behind her new house stretched on forever. Dark, quiet, and watching. Her dad said the move was for his new job. Her mom said it was so Leela could finish school like a kid, not a city survivor. Leela didn't say anything. She just missed the noise, the lights, the way the city hummed beneath her window like a giant friendly machine. But the woods were new. And even though she hated the move, something inside her flickered every time she looked at them. A spark she didn't want to admit was excitement. Their new house sat at the very edge of a neat little neighborhood. Porches, wind chimes, mailboxes shaped like barns. Behind them, the forest pressed close, thick with pines and oaks and underbrush that whispered secrets when the wind moved through it. And somewhere, deeper in those trees, the kids said lived the old cat lady. Leela didn't believe them. Not yet. Chapter 2. The Rumors. The neighborhood kids found her on her second day in Stillwater Bend. They circled her like she was some rare creature that had wandered out of a zoo. You're from New York? Do you know any celebrities? Do you have rats in your walls? Bet you're too city to handle the woods. Leela crossed her arms. I can handle anything. They exchanged looks, the kind kids make when they're about to tell a story they've practiced. Then don't go too far into the forest, one boy said. Because of the cats, another whispered. And the lady, a girl added, eyes wide. What lady? Leela asked. They leaned in. The one who lives in the old farmhouse, the boy said. The one with all the cats, the girl whispered. The one who can see through their eyes, another added, shivering dramatically. Leela rolled her eyes. Ghost stories. But the kids only shook their heads. Not ghosts, the girl said. Worse. Chapter 3. The Ghost Sound. The first time Leela heard it, she was half asleep. Her window was open. Stillwater Bend didn't believe in air conditioning, and warm spring air drifted in, carrying the smell of wet leaves and something sweet she couldn't name. Then she heard it. A long, thin wail drifting through the trees. Not loud, not close, but real. Leela sat up, heart thumping. It didn't sound like a coyote, or a bird, or anything she'd heard in the city. It sounded lonely. The next morning, she told the neighborhood kids. They stared at her like she'd announced she'd been cursed. If you heard it, one whispered, then you're marked. Leela laughed, but her stomach tightened, because she had heard it, and she wasn't sure she wanted to hear it again. Chapter 4. Sadie Wren. A week later, Leela was sitting at her bedroom window, watching the girl next door, a girl her age she hadn't met yet, painting her nails on a trampoline. She had long brown hair, a paint-splattered t-shirt, and a faraway look like she lived half in her head. Sadie Wren. Leela had seen her around, always alone, always quiet. Leela wondered if Sadie would ever talk to her. Probably not. Then the sound came again. That same thin, ghost-like wail drifting from the woods. Sadie froze. Her head snapped toward the trees. She heard it too. She scrambled off the trampoline, or tried to. Her shirt snagged on a spring, yanking her backward. Ow! Hey! Come on! Leela didn't think. She ran down the stairs, out the back door, across the grass. She reached Sadie, freed the shirt, and the two of them bolted inside Sadie's house, slamming the door behind them. They stood there, panting, goosebumps prickling their arms. Then they laughed. Not because it was funny, but because they were scared and alive, and suddenly not alone. Sadie's parents came home just then and invited Leela to stay for pizza night. And just like that, Leela Carter had her first friend in Stillwater Bend. Chapter 5. Into the Woods. Summer crept into Stillwater Bend slowly, like it wasn't sure it belonged there. The last of the spring rain dried up, the air warmed, and the woods behind Leela's house grew thick and green and humming with insects. Leela and Sadie spent almost every day together now. They played in each other's rooms, traded snacks, and wandered the forest paths, but never too far. Not because of the rumors, not because of the cats, but because of the real things. Coyotes, bears, snakes, and the way the trees grew so close together deeper in the woods that sunlight barely touched the ground. Still, Leela loved it. The woods felt like a secret world she'd never had in New York. But every now and then, when the wind shifted, she'd hear it. That thin, ghost-like cry. Sadie heard it too. They pretended they didn't. Chapter 6. The Cats. It happened on a warm afternoon in June. The girls were following a narrow deer trail, laughing about something silly, when the sound drifted to the trees again, closer this time. A soft, tired wail. Sadie stopped walking. Leela did too. "That's not a coyote," Sadie warned. "No," Leela agreed. "It's crying." They followed the sound without speaking, hearts thumping, feet crunching over old leaves. And then they saw them. Bowls. Dozens of them. Scattered along the path, tucked under bushes, perched on fallen logs. Metal bowls. Plastic bowls. Old chipped ceramic bowls with faded flowers. All of them holding half-eaten cat food. And the cats, they were everywhere. Under branches, in the trees, on the path, watching with wide, unblinking eyes. Sadie grabbed Leela's arm. "Leela, look." Through the trees just beyond the cats rose the roof of a house, dark shingles sagging slightly half hidden by the forest. The old farmhouse, the one everyone whispered about. A cat hissed suddenly, sharp and warning. The girls didn't wait. They ran all the way home, breathless and shaking. They didn't talk about it, not really, but both of them lay awake that night thinking about the crying. And the cats. And the house. Chapter 7. The Crying Returns. 2 weeks passed. The crying didn't stop. If anything, it grew weaker, like whoever was making the sound was running out of strength. Leela told her parents. Sadie told hers. Both sets of parents smiled kindly, asked questions, and then brushed it off. It's probably an animal, or the wind, or your imagination. But Leela knew what she'd heard. Sadie did too. One night, while the parents were out at the bingo hall, the girls had a sleepover at Sadie's house. They watched movies, ate popcorn, and tried not to think about the woods. Then the sound came again. Not faint, not far, close. So close, it felt like it was right behind the tree line. Sadie muted the TV. Leela held her breath. The cry came again, thin, desperate, exhausted. "That's it," Leela whispered. "We have to do something." Sadie nodded, pale but determined. They called 911. The dispatcher laughed. "Oh, you girls. Another prank about the cat lady? Go to bed." The line clicked dead. Leela and Sadie stared at each other. If no one else would help, they would. Chapter 8. The Farmhouse. The woods felt different at night. Colder. Still. Like the trees were holding their breath. The girls followed the path they knew, the glow of their phone screens trembling in their hands. The bulls appeared first, then the cats, silent, watching, their eyes glowing like tiny lanterns. The crying led them onward. When they reached the farmhouse, Leela felt her stomach drop. It was bigger than she expected. Older. The kind of house that creaked even when no one touched it. The barn beside it had collapsed on itself, leaning like a tired old man. The grass around the house was tall and wild, swallowing an old car whose paint had faded to mossy green. On the porch were more bowls, empty now. Sadie pointed to a window on the second floor. Below it was a rose lattice, or what used to be one. The roses were long dead, their thorny stems twisted together like something from a spooky movie. "That's our way in," Sadie whispered. Leela swallowed hard. "Okay." They climbed. Leela went first, careful and quiet. Sadie followed until a thorn snagged her hand. "Ow!" The sound echoed through the house, and the crying stopped. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the wail rose again, louder, closer, filling the whole house with a sound that made their skin crawl. Sadie panicked and kicked off the lattice. It tore free from the wall and crashed to the ground below. Now they had no way back out. They had to go through the house. Chapter 9. Downstairs. The upstairs was dusty, untouched for years. Old furniture draped in sheets, wallpaper peeling like old sunburn, and a hallway that smelled like time itself. But downstairs was different. The air was warmer, cleaner, lived in. A small TV sat on a wooden stand, its screen glowing with static. An old VHS tape had reached the end and was stuck there, hissing softly. The crying came again, but this time it sounded like words. "Help me." Leela froze. Sadie bolted. She ran out the front door and into the woods, screaming for help. Leela wanted to run too, but something inside her, something brave and stubborn, wouldn't let her. She followed the sound through the living room, into the kitchen, to a door half open. The basement. "Hello?" Leela whispered. "Where are you?" A faint voice drifted up the floor vents. "Down here." Leela's heart hammered. She pulled out her phone, turned on the flashlight, shined it down the stairs, and saw her. Agnes Brooks, the old woman from the rumors, lying at the bottom of the stairs in a twisted, painful position, her face pale, her clothes dirty, her eyes tired. Leela screamed. Her phone slipped from her hand and clattered down the stairs. Agnes flinched. "Please," she whispered, "help." Chapter 10. The Rescue. By the time Sadie reached home, breathless and terrified, Her parents were pulling into the driveway. She told them everything, crying, the house, the fall, Leela still inside. They called the police, then ran into the woods with flashlights. Neighbors joined them. When they reached the farmhouse, Leela was at the bottom of the basement stairs, holding Agnes's hand, whispering that help was coming. Agnes had been trapped for 2 weeks. She'd fallen while bringing food to the stray cats, the only company she had left. She was allergic to them, so she kept them outside. But she fed them every day so she could watch them from her porch. Because they were like her, unwanted, unnoticed, and alone. When she fell, she couldn't reach the stairs, couldn't reach her phone, couldn't reach the door. She survived on cat food and water dripping from a pipe. The crying the girls had heard wasn't a ghost. It was Agnes calling for help, and no one had listened until Leela and Sadie. Chapter 11. The Promise. Agnes recovered slowly. The town helped fix her house. The cats stayed. Of course they did. But now they had proper shelters and food. And Leela? She started something new. A group of kids from Stillwater Bend, even the ones who teased her, joined together to help the elderly in their neighborhood. They mowed lawns, cleaned porches, brought groceries, and on the second Friday of every month, they hosted a dinner at the community center. Agnes Brooks always sat at the head of the table. And every time Leela walked past the woods, she listened. Not for ghost sounds, but for the soft purring of cats and the quiet, steady heartbeat of a town learning to take care of its own. The end.